Yes, we can start now.
All right, cool. Would you like to open for us?
We are live. Yes, we're live now.
Hooray!
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome.
It's our little Christmas stream here before the end of the year. We decided to meet up with our amazing friends and guests from Warhorse and King Art, Tobias and Elliot. I think we will speak about different big and small things they will announce today. I hope so. I really hope so.
Never.
So, guys, yeah, tell for the people, like, is there any big work have been done both on Kingdom Come or on Iron Harvest over this year?
Yeah, I can probably kick us off then. It's been a pretty big year for us at King Arts. So as the pandemic has been dragging on a little bit, we've basically been working from home for the entirety of this year, with like a few people managing to come back in the office once in a while. But for the most part, I think more than 3/4 of our staff have been at home working from there, and we have been continuing with a couple more milestones and achievements for Iron Harvest. So the big one, obviously, of course, was console launch. So Iron Harvest is now available on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series S and X. And hopefully in the future, we will be able to get the game ready and available for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. We ran into a couple of technical issues where we kind of saw like, okay, we're going to have to figure out how we can fit the game for those consoles. So we're currently still working on it, not to worry. So that is coming. But yeah, we already managed to get it out for the, I suppose, current gen consoles now at this point, which, yeah, that was a really big achievement. Of course, real-time strategy in particular is a tricky genre, at the least, to bring over to console and to make that work properly. But from what I have read of reviews so far, it seems that people seem to pretty much like it. Like, people seem to be quite happy with it, so that's really good. Other than that, we've just been chipping away at the game, bringing further updates, such as additional content, like more maps. I think most recently we released an additional 2v2 map. We've added controller or gamepad support for PC. We're doing more bug fixes, more balance changes. So we're still actively working on the game at this point. And yeah, there's a lot more to look forward to for Iron Harvest. Like, we've got more stuff in the pipeline. Nothing that I can say at the moment, but things are coming, and there's a lot to look forward to in the new year as well. Otherwise, if you haven't gotten the game yet, now is an ideal chance to do so, because of course we have reduced the price of the game permanently.
Oh, and it's permanently?
Yes, we've had we've reduced the price of the game permanently, because we did see a lot of feedback about people saying like, well, I don't know if there's really, like, if I'm willing to pay this much for this particular game.
So what's the price now?
Now don't quote me on this, but I definitely think it's 30. It's, I think, between 30 and $40 right now, from the original 60. And additionally, on top of that, right now, if you check out the Steam sales right now, Iron Harvest is currently half off, so 50% off. So that means you can get it for a paltry $15 or 15 euros, I think, in the Steam store. So it's definitely a great opportunity to go grab that. Because yeah, like, we're still working on more content, more stuff to come in the following year. But yeah, so it's been a pretty good year for us, despite, you know, like, everything kind of working against us with the pandemic and everything. But we're soldiering on, and we're making do, and we're still coming out with great stuff.
Okay. There's one thing actually I forgot to mention is for people. Our stream today, it's just not a regular stream, because we are having actually a little bit of, yeah, well, I think if you can see, it's Christmas stream. I know it seems like a Jesus that my wine is going away. But yeah,
we started the stream and my beer is already empty. The work we had to do before the setting up the stream took too long, and now my beer is empty.
Well, we still would like to say, well, yeah, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone, because we all know that this year haven't been this easy for people, with the pandemic stuff and COVID. So I don't know. My wishes is just like to stay safe and don't be sick with COVID, because I've been through that. It's a shit. It's not fun to not taste or smell anything. So yeah, take care, everyone.
Absolutely, Corona is not fun, and the taste and the smell is actually the least of the bad things that can happen to you. So take care, everyone, and of course, Merry Christmas and stuff. So cheers. Yeah.
Or how we say in Swedish, skål.
Skål. Na zdraví in Czech.
Yeah,
it sounds like a drunk Russian. You try to say na zdarovie.
Well, there's a lot of similarities. Yes, exactly. But it's na zdraví, and don't tell the Czech one that it sounds Russian. He will not be happy about that.
Okay. So what's like the part from your side wise? Like anything with the Kingdom Come? I've seen that you have been announced some kind of big show next year, like a live concert.
Exactly. So for me, for me, it's a bit trickier to answer. Well, so there's two parts. It's the year 2021 is either me, Toby, or me, Warhol Studios, because me, Toby, I was of course involved in several different projects. One of them was Iron Harvest, working together with the King Art team from Germany. That was extremely exciting, and that was of course the main part of my work this year. And along with that, we just announced not long ago a new game I'm working on. It's called The Last Crew. So that is something that is currently on the I don't get the name right. Xbox ID Festival, Xbox ID Winter Demo Festival, Winter Game whatever. So you can play it. You can play a demo of The Last Crew there. It's just like an action RPG, really cool one. So this was that, and then of course at Warhol Studios we are working hard on preparing our next game. Of course, there's nothing that we can reveal yet, but the time will come at some point, and what we revealed or what we prepared not long ago, and that is what you mentioned a few minutes ago. There will be a very, very big one, a really huge symphonic orchestra concert in Prague happening in February. So fingers crossed that Corona and so on will make it actually happen. Of course, everything will be according to
COVID,
local and government restrictions, so that should be a safe and fun event. So of course there's no loophole, no digging for loopholes, but if we are allowed, we will do it. And yeah, it will be really cool. Our composer Jan Walter will conduct the show. It will be the Brno Symphonic Orchestra, which Brno is the second biggest city in Czech Republic, so they will travel from Brno to Prague. We have the O2 Arena, well, the side building of the O2 Arena, but still, as far as I know, the building can hold 4,500 people.
Wow, that's really cool.
That is amazing. I'm not sure. It's a concert, so it's not a sports event, so I'm not sure if they really let in 4,500. But I guess if there's like 3,000, then it's still, I consider that a huge amount, of course. So because I think it's like the music concert. Well, I don't know exactly, but I think they will play on one half of the stadium, which means that behind the stage, of course, there will be no seats sold. That makes sense. So I suspect it will be like 2/3 filled. But anyway, 2/3 of 4,500 is a huge ass number. So I'm looking forward to that. And this will happening in February. And other than that, let me think. Oh yeah, with also me, Toby, again working with the team of Koch Media. So as you know, Koch Media is the parent company of Warhol Studios. They bought us in 2019. They are before that they were the publisher of Kingdom Come Deliverance, just partners of Warhol Studios. So same as they are partners of King Art Games and partnering up with Iron Harvest.
Yeah.
So they were publishing us. In 2019, they were buying us. And for me, this year was also interesting being part of the Koch Media family. We announced Prime Matter as having as a new label for Prime Games, like really good, like high class, whatever products of their lineup, and games from King Art Games will be there. Warhorse Studios games will be there, and it's considered to be the blockbuster titles. So many cool things are coming there, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Are the artists
Very
of the
cool.
game will arrive on the concert?
Of course. So I'm planning right now, and again, this must be in cooperation with local and government restrictions and rules. So again, no loopholing and nothing, but we are trying to have like a meet and greet.
Okay.
So
That's
one
sweet.
thing is you can regularly buy the tickets on Ticketmaster, so you can get there. You can travel to Czech Republic, at least for Schengen people. I don't know how exactly Russia can right now if they can travel to Czech Republic. I'm not sure about that, but
It's
inside
hard
Schengen
to
you
say.
can. Yeah, let's just fingers crossed that next year will change, of course, to the better, or so that we don't have like an Omega or whatever version of COVID.
Yeah.
But
Stay safe.
yes, stay safe and stuff. But if everything is safe, you can travel to Prague, of course, get the tickets on Ticketmaster, and the composer, like the musician who is working at Warhorse Studios, who made the Kingdom Come Deliverance music, he will conduct the concert himself.
Really cool.
His cousin, well, the name of the composer is Jan Walter. His cousin is Adam Sporka. Adam Sporka he also wrote parts of the music, but he's not a musician per se, even though he's like, of course, he is a huge musician, but his role is like a hybrid between programmer and musician. So he's the one who implemented all the music into the game. He wrote a script for the adaptive music, so when you get into a fight or whatever, it doesn't cut off the music, but it seamlessly goes from one track into the other and so on. And he wrote parts of the music. He will be not conducting, but he will be playing on the on some of the tunes that he wrote. I think he has like a flute solo or something like that. There's the medieval band Bacchus, which played a few tunes, like medieval sounding tunes in the game. So Bacchus will be on stage as well, together with the symphonic orchestra. Then there's a huge is choir the right word?
Yes, it's a choir.
A huge choir, male and female mixed choir, who will be singing to Kingdom Come Deliverance, to the music. And on top of that, behind the full symphonic orchestra, there will be a huge video screen that will play selected cutscenes from the game that will run to. So you will have it will be a bit like a opera or theater, so that you see part of the cutscene without music, and then the music kicks in and will accompany that. So that you will get some context, sometimes some talking, something is happening on screen, and then the music kicks in and something happens. So this will be a huge event, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. And yeah, that will be a life-changing experience. I must say I saw that once already. So we had this kind of show already, but it was way smaller. It was like, I'm guessing right now, 500 to 1,000 people or something like that. It was part of a like a award show where they awarded us like best music, and still it was a 1.5 hours show. It was amazing. However, it was in a tent, and meanwhile it rained cats and dogs like really terribly, and you could hear that inside the tent, like the dripping on top of the tent with the music. It was kind of weird, but still there.
Percussion.
Yeah. It was kind of weirdish, but there's a video about that. So if you guys are interested, you can take a look on that. It's really cool, in my opinion.
Maybe some Hans Zimmer will appear.
Dan Vavra, our creative director, once said he doesn't want to sound like Hans Zimmer, and he said another name, and I forgot the name. Like do you know any?
A different film composer?
Yeah, but like
I know there's two dudes who's making like amazing music for
exactly.
movies.
Zimmer is the one, and then there's the second one. I forgot his name, but he wanted to have the music sound like the second guy, not Hans Zimmer.
Gotcha. Okay. That sounds really, really impressive. And the fact that you already said like this is the second time that this has been organized, that you had like such a big like orchestra essentially. I mean, I don't know how much you were involved with it or how on hands with it, but what were like some of the really big challenges in comparison to the first concert that you all held for the award show in comparison to this big performance essentially? Because it really sounds very spectacular. I can't imagine how much work it must have been.
The good thing is that it's not us directly planning it, so it's part of it's called Game Assess Arena, which is I don't want to step on anyone's toes. I'm not sure if they're the biggest like gaming event in Czech Republic, but at least they're one of the bigger ones, and they organize stuff like that already. And it's not the first time that we have a symphonic piece of music. We had like, but it's usually 15-30 minutes or whatever in some bigger gaming night, symphonic whatever thing, right? But this will be the second time where we get our own show, and it's this game event thing who organized that, and it's all in their hands, which is good, because to be very honest, I'm not sure if we could organize such an event ourselves, and I'm almost certain that this would be too much for us.
Yeah, I can imagine, but that's really, really cool. Is it like something that you just you met with these folks and it was like, hey, we have this music that a lot of people are interested in, let's work on something together? Is that kind of how that works out?
Absolutely, yes. They were reaching out to us. They knew the music, as I said, it had happened already, so they knew exactly what they are looking into, and they said that they have the capabilities and the pulling power to create such an event in Prague. And as I said, before we had this event, this award show thingy, and it was in I think it was whatever, another city, like outside of Prague, 1 hour outside of Prague or whatever. And then, of course, it gets troublesome to travel there and so on. But they said they have the pulling power, and the O2 Arena is the biggest arena in Czech Republic for music concerts and so on. And they have the side building is this smaller thingy in which we are, but still it's the same venue with perfect infrastructure, whatever. And this will, They said they can handle it. We said that we can deliver the material, the people, the content, and together we put that together. It took a while, of course, to get this up and running, but it was pretty good. Another small side project we do, meanwhile, is also a Kingdom Come Deliverance board game, and again, it's like a partnership with someone who is specialized in creating board games, and they're currently working on a Kingdom Come Deliverance like half digital, half regular board game, because you need a cell phone. It will be a little bit like some version of D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, where you have the game master who tells you like, we are right now in this situation, and the cell phone will give you scenarios, and according to what's written there, you have to then decide and do your moves and so on. I think that will be really cool, and the big plus is that people can then actually create their own stories if they want to, and upload them and so on. So that is the big idea there. I think that is
How long have you been preparing this?
The board game?
Nah, I mean like the concert.
So I must confess that we had the discussions before COVID, and then COVID came into it. So it was in the air for quite a while, but
much like COVID.
Yeah,
exactly. I can imagine it really threw a wrench into a lot of plans, from what I understand.
Absolutely. And I must. I'm not sure if that is a secret or not, but if you get the ticket and something should happen with COVID or whatever, then there's already secret dates scheduled.
Yeah.
If it gets canceled, I think we have two other side dates.
You plan for those kinds of contingencies, right?
And you will not have to pay anything more or whatever. Your tickets will then get
just gets moved down.
It's super fair, and everything is legit and super pro, and I like that it's like they really know what they do, and it's like really a legit big ass concert, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. No joke. It's like really excited about that.
Yeah, that sounds really exciting. I mean, I would love to come to Prague. Like, if it's something that's like happening like later next year somewhere, Like if the opportunity arises and the restrictions aren't too bad, I would actually love to come and check that out, honestly.
So the concert is scheduled for the 5th of February right now, so it's very early this next year. But as I said, let's see.
Let's see how it goes.
Let's see how it goes exactly.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Okay,
cool. And
fingers crossed.
Yeah, nice.
Elliot, there's actually something for you in the chat.
Okay.
From John Shepard.
Okay.
Shouting Elliot.
John.
It says, "Olu loves you, XOXO."
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, hi back. It's great that you're here to chime in, to tune in and check to see what we're talking about. Yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that I can help answer about Iron Harvest or about what's going on at King Art currently, I'll do my best to answer anything. Yeah, cool.
And I will do my best to jump into you if you say something you're not allowed to say.
Very good. Yeah. Maybe that's a good point, actually. Perhaps for those of you who are currently tuning in right now and are thinking, who on earth are these people? Maybe it's good that we do like a really quick reintroduction of who we are, what we do, just so that people understand like what are kind of our roles, our responsibilities, like within the games industry. That might be a good idea.
Yeah, sure.
To do that.
Okay,
people. Sure. Well, since you were talking about it, Toby, about cutting me off if I had said something that I'm not allowed to, maybe you want to introduce exactly what is it that
I
you
will
do
mute
that
the bias
is
for that time if you're going to say something, so you can unlace that.
I dare you. I double dare you. So I'm Toby. I'm a PR manager at Warhorse Studios, which you can read right above me, of course. But I'm also, since Koch Media, or Warhorse Studios is part of the Koch Media group, I'm also helping out Koch Media on different projects. Such as Iron Harvest from King Art Games or The Last Ori Crew from Gold Knights. So my role is usually the entire communications part. I'm helping out to define what should be communicated when and how and to who. So how do we market the game? How do we make sure that media knows about it? How do we make sure that the main pillars of the game are being translated into a language that the people out there understand? On the contrary, if they misunderstand something or don't like something, I would take all those information, all those things I can gather, and then try to deliver them back into the studio and try to point out possible risks, possible problems, where we can get into trouble, maybe if the game is not as interesting as the developers think they are, and maybe point out, okay, the people like this, they don't like that, and so on. It's like something like the communication point
I get you.
And I usually PR people don't talk into cameras, or usually they don't, but I'm kind of the hybrid person that combines the planning and execution. That's why you very often see me with Elliot, for instance, or Will, also on streaming or on events or in front of the camera, as I kind of take this role as well. And I usually, and when I'm not talking myself, then I'm preparing the right. So usually a journalist reach out, wants to know something, wants to talk about, let's say, happened yesterday or the day before yesterday, he wanted to talk about motion capture in general. So I discuss that, I make the plans, when do we do that, and I point out the right person here. For instance, Elliot is the right person to talk about motion capture, just as an example, and he then makes sure that they move together, or that they find each other, they can talk together on Skype or whatever, and I'm just sitting in the background making sure that we only say the things we want to say at the given moment, because I know that and I'm not excluding myself, I know that everyone is very excited, everyone wants to spoil the beans and say everything immediately, but sometimes, and everyone knows that life is change. Some things change faster than you can blink, and it's better to have a clear plan of attack rather than shoot at will.
Yeah, I understand. So you're kind of like the first line, essentially. You are one of the people who is listening to what players are talking about and saying about games, and you relay that back to the development team.
Absolutely.
And then,
Absolutely.
like on the side here, you show up with your wonderful face and your even more wonderful beard to talk about things on camera.
Exactly.
Awesome.
So everything that is somehow related to communications, it can be communications inside the studio, but usually outside. That is what I do. Exactly.
Awesome.
What about you, Elliot? What is your amazing job?
What is it that I do? Yeah. So I'm Elliot. I am a game designer at King Art Games. I have, among other things, worked on Iron Harvest and partially on Iron Harvest Operation Eagle, which is our DLC. So I've been working at King Art for a couple of years right now, and my primary job has been essentially creating new content. So, for example, taking a look at, for example, like I kind of have been wearing a lot of hats, particularly during Iron Harvest. So I've done like a multitude of things. So a lot of things is solving particular design problems. So like, okay, if we end up in this particular edge case with the game, what do we do then? So basically creating the rules under which a game operates in order to make sure that it is both fun, but also that nothing breaks fundamentally. On top of that as well, I have a few minor writing credits for writing dialogue and units like voice lines and so on. So if you have some of the voice lines you may have heard in Iron Harvest, some of them were written by me. And I've also worked as a director for our voice actors. So we essentially, for Iron Harvest, what we did is that each faction is essentially represents a region or a nation that existed in the time at that world, which kind of is a bit of a mirror of our real life. And we managed to get native Polish, Russian, let me think here, German, American, and Arabic speakers for the entire game, basically, to basically speak their lines for their appropriate faction. And one of my jobs was to be on site to talk to them and talk to the actors to make sure that we kind of got the delivery right. And yeah, so like I basically do a lot of things for the studio, but game designer is my primary trait. And also, of course, next to that, I occasionally appear on things like this. So I usually talk about game development in general, or yeah, pretty much game design, game development in general. And I try to answer as many questions as I can for our lovely community and for any players out there who wish to know a little bit more about how things work behind the curtain. As much as Toby allows me to, of course.
Hey, it's not like I'm the bad guy. I'm just trying to calm everyone.
You just got to be careful that, you know, we don't spoil too much, that we don't ruin too many surprises, that kind of thing. Exactly. So that's where Toby then steps in. But yeah, that's kind of what we do. So that's kind of what I do. And then, of course, we have our host, Alex. Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do?
Well, we're not that big studio to speak about, I think, yet. But well, I'm a live show producer, and you're my guest here, or kind of mentor to us. At least your opinion is valid when you play our game. Tell us what's wrong or what's good. So yeah, well, we're making a turn-based strategy game that you both played, and we both took your opinion a lot because we're working on our errors and fails that we have. And you will be playing our game again, I think, in February, when we have like something new to show for people and show to you.
Exciting.
So yeah, well, we just stay tuned for that, and yeah, let's see where it goes and how it goes, because there's a lot of work going right now on the build we have, and we want to show people later like a solid build. We probably gonna lottery out some of the keys for our game and see what people think about our game.
I like your game. I'm a big fan of turn-based strategy games, so that is definitely something I'm looking forward to. that, Saturated Outer Space, and XCOM 3.
That's actually a really good question. Like with 2022 on the doorstep right now, are there any particular games? Now you already mentioned XCOM 3.
Yeah,
but
but
are
who
there
knows? Yeah.
any other games you're looking forward to in the new year?
It wasn't even announced yet, so I just got the XCOM 3 thing from the they found was like a few months ago. Maybe you saw it, maybe not. They kind of on Twitter it popped up that they somehow found some or hacked or somehow they found documents from Epic and how they made their deals with their like the Epic game store and how they make their deals with the developers and so on. And there was a huge ass list of titles in there.
Yeah.
There was XCOM 3 written in there, which wasn't announced and nothing. So who knows? Fingers crossed for that. I'm looking forward to February, I think, because the Crusader Kings 2. Crusader Kings 3 DLC is releasing there, and I'm a huge ass fan of Crusader Kings, so I'm looking forward to that DLC. And other than that, of course, I'm extremely looking forward to my titles to be released. So in that case, the last Ori crew now from Gold Knights. So that is something I work on.
Awesome.
I just
very
have
nice.
a short off-top question, Tobias. Could you check the chat, please?
And what exactly do you want me to check?
On the Skype, the last message I sent.
Okay.
All right, all good. Yeah, how about you, Alex? Are there any particular titles coming in the new year that you're like really hyped for or really looking forward to?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm waiting for something special like that, but I finally tried the Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Okay.
I finally had time for that because I'm a big fan of Assassin's Creed. It was something new for me.
Mm-hmm.
And with something like that big upcoming, unfortunately, there's no date of release because I'm waiting for the Mass Effect 4.
Oh, right, that got announced, right?
Yeah, and like there's only a teaser, and people have been speculating about what's new, or something like that, and stuff like that. Or well, I could say that we're all waiting for GTA 6, but that's a game like I don't know. Maybe when I have kids, it will already be released or something like that.
I hear you.
Something new. Well, the latest news I saw, and I was actually pretty happy, is that Splinter Cell got a post regarding that they will make a remake of the game.
Yeah, I saw that. That apparently Ubisoft is looking for people to help work on the new Splinter Cell game.
Not new.
Yeah,
actually,
very exciting.
Not new. They're gonna do the remake, and there's
it's a remake.
Or what I saw, there's no information about the new one. But I'm happy they're like, getting back.
They're working on something for that. Yeah. Yeah, cool. Yeah, it definitely seems to be like, particularly with Ubisoft, it seems to be pretty good for like Tom Clancy fans in general. Yeah, like that's really cool. I've kind of like heard a little bit about all the new releases here and there while I was working. Square Enix's Forspoken looks pretty good. That looks really interesting. Elden Ring, of course, I think that's the title that a lot of people are really looking forward to, which should be coming soon. I mean, you get to ride a goat that can jump. That in and of itself is probably just an instant buy. Yeah, other than that, I've also been looking at like smaller indie titles and stuff like that that have been piquing my interest, so to speak. But yeah, I definitely will be catching up a little bit on my library while I am on vacation, basically, over the course of the end of this year. So definitely a lot of great stuff that seems to be coming in the new year. So definitely looking forward to that.
Elliot, what kind of games do you play in general?
Ooh,
what would you consider would be like your top 3 of all time?
Oh my goodness, my top.
You don't have to say like which one is the first or second or third. But
no, of course.
Like
just like
because that's super hard anyway. But
I understand. Okay, so I think that's really... I know that there's a couple titles that immediately come to mind. So I, as a game designer, basically my job is, or a part of my job is to explore different types of titles, particularly depending on like the genre that we're working on, and to really dig in and check out like what are people doing like in this game, how has it been designed, like what kind of choices did they made. And so generally as part of my job, it's important for me to explore a whole swath of titles essentially. So I kind of play a whole bunch of stuff like across many genres. So I can definitely say that like currently what I've been playing is so yeah, sure. So just a top 3 of like what's immediately the thing that comes to my mind is Alien Isolation, which is a horror game by
fun hide and seek game.
Yeah, didn't expect that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I find it to be a really interestingly designed game. Like obviously there's a lot of stuff for like particularly for Aliens fans that people have been swooning about it basically, that it's really good. Like it's very loyal to the source material, so to speak. But definitely the way how they approach their AI, their sound design, I think is really interesting. I definitely wouldn't say it's a perfect game, but it is definitely a game that it very much succeeds in what it sets out to do, and I find that really fascinating to see. The other two that I think that I've been playing a lot of, so the other one that I've been playing is Guilty Gear Strive, which is a new fighting game that came out this year. It apparently won Best Fighting Game at the Game Awards this year.
Is it a fighting game like Tekken or Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, it's kind of like Street Fighter, so to speak. So it's kind of like Street Fighter combined with like heavy metal aesthetics, which is really cool. Like it's got some very interesting ideas, and essentially it looks like it's made by like a very dedicated fighting game studio developer, so to speak. They have a really interesting aesthetic, and also how they approach that within their engine is really fascinating. But yeah, like generally, like getting into like a fighting game, I've never really played one of those seriously before. But discovering essentially like how the layers of complexity and depth within it has been really enjoyable for me. And there's just a lot of interesting concepts I think that you can apply to other titles and other genres as well. Like there's a lot of stuff that we can learn, I think, from that particular genre of games. And then the third one I've been playing a lot is Hunt Showdown, which is a shooter that takes place in, I think, the late 19th century Louisiana. It's like kind of a supernatural kind of Western kind of deal. Very interesting. It's a bit of a battle royale style thing, but I think the way that they do their objectives and the particular aesthetic that they've got going on for the game is really appealing. And it's just a fun game to play with friends, I find. So yeah, that's currently like the top 3 that have been, swirling around my mind most recently.
There's a couple of things we need to discuss. First, I think, could you move you a little bit to the left your?
Like this?
Yeah, something like that. Because you're going out of the screen.
Am I disappearing into the balloons?
Yeah.
We have actually some questions for Iron Harvest. Neon Synthesis is asking any news on the Albin faction for Iron Harvest.
Okay. So I'm going to just say there's nothing that I can currently say at the moment, but there will be new content.
I need to mute Tobias. If you're gonna spoil anything.
No, all good. Tobias will interject otherwise if I'm really saying that's a little too spicy or like too hot for TV. But I can't say anything particularly about any new factions or anything like that. But I can definitely say that there's going to be new content coming for Iron Harvest. So there's definitely stuff to look forward to. Definitely.
Okay, and there's another question from Neon Synthesis.
Go ahead.
Any news on a fix for the main menu bugging out on Iron Harvest on Xbox?
Yeah, definitely. Like if there are any particular bugs that are present that are blocking it. So I don't immediately know that directly for myself. So I don't generally handle bug reports and stuff like that. But if it is something that is currently like being a problem or it's preventing you from playing the game properly, then yes, it is definitely something that will be fixed.
You can probably notice that and tell to your team.
Yeah. Also, if it's something that has been bothering you, then if you're not already a part of our Discord community, you can check it out for like the Iron Harvest server essentially, and we have a channel where you can log bugs and stuff like that. So that goes straight to our community manager, who can pass it on then to our QA team, so that we can make sure that we can validate and see if we can fix it. Usually, it requires a little bit of patience because patching things and bug fixing things for console is a lot more of a complicated process than it is for PC. You can't just push a patch out and then be done with it. Usually, for console platforms, usually there is a very large checklist that you have to fulfill with the platform holder. So usually Sony or Xbox, so Microsoft. So it usually means that patches usually come out in like larger sections. Like we usually fix a whole bunch of things and then we push a patch out. That's usually a much more efficient way of getting it done without having to go through the process of certifying a bug patch every single time we do that. It's a huge pain. It's very inefficient. So have a little patience with us. But yes, if you've shared that bug already, we're definitely working on it then. And you can probably expect to see a fix for that in an upcoming patch.
Okay. Tobias, is there any possibility for continuing the story of Kingdom Come Deliverance?
Like a possibility? How? Of course, objectively, of course, it's a. I mean, you can continue the story. You can tell me how it continues, and there you go. You have a continuation of the story.
Well,
I need to be more precise.
Okay. I mean, like, will we see, or is it dead on Warhorse? Because
I have no idea. So we are working currently on something new. I'm not sure if the new thing is what you're expecting, but I guess we will have to wait and see.
So, I mean, like, it's not a dead title on Warhorse list. Oh wow!
I have no idea. I mean, once I have a clear image, then I can tell you. But as of right now, I don't have a clear image.
So kind of we can't say for certain yet, but never say never.
Well, definitely. I mean, theoretically, if you think of that right now, I'm not sure who holds the IP rights of Kingdom Come Deliverance.
Oh,
if
of course.
I'm not sure if since Koch bought us, I'm not sure about that. So theoretically, and again, I'm not sure about that. If Koch bought us and if they bought like completely everything with the intellectual knowledge and the IP rights and whatever, then they could just take the game and give it to King Art Games or whatever, and they can do a sequel. Theoretically.
Yeah. So essentially, it kind of comes down to what the publisher decides on. So yeah, there's a lot of factors there to determine whether there is going to be continuation of that. We'll just have to see.
Well, on the other hand, let's be clear, and I mean everyone knows the obvious. The end of Kingdom Come Deliverance is kind of an open end. So
yes.
So of course there is a point where you just could continue, but since it's a historical game or tries to interpret one specific historical event or like period or whatever, of course, I mean history continued from that point, so theoretically you can always continue. But if we'll do it, if this will be the next game or if we will ever do it, who knows.
Excellent. So theoretically, that means that there is a possibility somewhere in the far-flung future we've got like 20 sequels of Kingdom Come. I mean, there's astonishing success.
There's a possibility that a cow will now come through your door and kill you. I mean, the likelihood is really low, but it's never zero, right?
It's never zero.
Exactly.
That's very true. Yeah.
Okay. Elliot, we have one more question for you regarding Hunt Showdown.
Sure.
It's what's your favorite hide and seek bush in Hunt Showdown?
Ooh.
And what is your favorite map and time of the day?
Okay, so my favorite time of day is absolutely it's going to be a toss-up between, I think, heavy fog or nighttime. I think fog is good. Like, everybody loves a little bit of goth air. Otherwise, my favorite place to hide, now, don't tell anybody else around here, but I personally really, really enjoy First Testimonial, essentially. So I think it's a really great place to defend, so I can highly recommend. Shenanigans always go down there. It's a great place to fight around, so you might see me around there if you're lucky.
Okay. Another question actually from Neosynthesis. It's will future content for Iron Harvest will be released on PC and console at the same time?
That is, well, we definitely want to try and do that. Generally, like, that's definitely the attempt we want to make. But usually there is a lot that happens, like I was talking about earlier, about how patches are done a little bit differently, and they're a little bit more complicated to do on console than they are on PC. I would say we are definitely going to strive for that things launch simultaneously on PC and console, but it's not something that we can promise. But it's definitely the intent that we try and do that if we can.
Yeah, we had the same story at Warhorse Studios.
Yeah.
We had, of course, on our end, we released simultaneously on PC and consoles. However, when we were patching the game and fixing the game, we tried to make sure that they release on the same moment, but it's not always possible.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find out that the fix you do on PC will not work on consoles because you run out of memory or whatever, and you need to come up with. There's always 1,000 reasons or 1,000 things that can go wrong. So it's always very hard. Like promising is very hard, but of course it's in the intention of the developer to make sure that they're everything always released simultaneously. And also I can tell you from communications point, like for us marketeers and PR, it's a pain in the ass if it's splits, because then you are also splitting the communications. First you're talking to PC media, and then later it comes on console, but PC media will not talk about it anymore because they did it already. So we also prefer to have it out there, everything at once.
So definitely coming from both communication and design wise, we never want to intentionally have people, we want consoles to get the patch or content later. That doesn't make any sense from a communication standpoint. It doesn't make sense from a design standpoint. We want people to be playing the game at its latest, at its best, simultaneously if we can. But yeah, unfortunately the reality of that is usually very different. This is also, perhaps you have like other games that you play, where sometimes if they have a PC and a console version, that the PC version usually gets updates earlier, and then console usually comes out a little bit later. That just has a lot to do with how the platform holders have very strict regulations on how something is patched, and to make sure that it will not brick your console, so to speak. Like they have a huge checklist, essentially. It's called certification, which means that someone at Microsoft or someone at Sony has a massive spreadsheet with a huge checklist, and when a developer wants to upload a patch or additional content, then the people over at the platform holder, they go down that checklist and they check every single thing. So this can be a lot of stuff, right? So this can be, for example, if I press the Xbox button on the controller, does this open up the menu properly? If I press the start button, does it do this thing? Is this current feature working that is compatible with the particular console? Like all this kind of stuff. And it's thousands and thousands and thousands of items. And if there's even a couple things that do not get checked off and they don't fulfill it, they send that whole thing back and they say, you need to fix this. And then we do the whole process again. Which obviously, of course, you want to try and prevent that as much as you can, but inevitably, we're all only humans. Something slips through, and then you get it sent back, and everyone cries a tear for a brief moment, and then you do it again, and you see if you can get it through. So we really, really want to make sure that people are all playing the same thing on all platforms. But just simply due to the nature of how console development works and how it fundamentally differs from PC, it's very, very hard to do, but it's not possible.
I can also tell you a little side story about development and consoles. So the reason why most of the big titles, and I'm saying big titles because usually the small ones are not affected by that, but most of the PlayStation and Xbox games that are being released, they come with a day one patch.
Yeah.
And the reason behind that is exactly what Elliot said, the certification process of the console holders. So you have to, if you are really, and it's even worse when you release physically. When you release a game physically, like we did with Kingdom Come Deliverance, for instance, we released in February 2018. You have to deliver the full version, the one that you want to have printed on the CD, right? Because it must be, or Blu-ray actually. Yeah. The one that you want to have printed on the Blu-ray, that one must be delivered to Microsoft and Sony 3 months before, at least 3 months before release.
Yeah.
And in our case, since we released in February, it's through the Christmas holidays. No one works at Christmas, so it's really 4 months before release. So at some point in November-ish or so, yeah, we had to send the finished, more or less finished version of Kingdom Come Deliverance to Sony and Microsoft. However, as everyone knows, whoever worked on software, you are not even on release day you are finished. So in between we are sending you the finished version and we are actually releasing the game. It's 3 or 4 months of work of if you're unlucky of crunch time, like really everyone puts in as much stuff as possible, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So you need to get that into the game, of course. So that's why usually you get the huge ass first day one patch, and it's actually to give you another inside information. It's actually not the day one patch. It's more like the day zero patch, because the day zero patch must be in the game before reviewers get the game. So you don't want to have like the big ass outlet checking on your games and giving you a review on with bugs in the game where you know they're in the game and you know they're patched already, but you want them to have the patch. So it's even a week before the release you have to get the patch up and running. So yeah, consoles are really cool and amazing, and I am still a big fan of consoles. However, it's the process to get the stuff done and to deliver it and to make it actually really work properly is a lot more complicated. A lot more complicated. While on Steam, for instance, Warhorse Studios, you can just whatever hotfix you have, you can immediately send it live and it will be immediately at everyone's place, right? But on consoles, it doesn't work like that. Every patch, every hotfix, everything must be double and triple checked with the console holders. And as Elliot says, they don't check if the game is fun or if it's good. They don't care if it's good or not, right?
They check if it works.
If it works, if it crashes, that is something they do not like. They're checking all the like PlayStation or Xbox menu things Elliot was describing. They're very concerned about language, like if all the sound files and all these kind of things are in there, because whatever is printed on the back side of the box must be in the box, of course.
Yeah.
And so on. So it's the process is really interesting. It is, hard, complicated, but very interesting. And then last but not least, as I said, you have to print the Blu-rays. It's not just a random company and you're looking for the cheapest one. No, it's like certified only these people in this country, in this warehouse, in this store or whatever, they are doing them, and then it's at some country, and then you need to deliver it all around the world and so on. So it's
a lot of balls to juggle.
Yep, there's a big logistic problem there, and you have to get that done.
Yeah, definitely.
That's why digital releases are so much easier, but yeah.
That's why a lot of people have been doing them more often, right?
Yep.
Like they just sell them on like a digital storefront, and that's your lot. Yeah. But yeah, definitely I find that usually, like coming from like a creator standpoint, so to speak, of just making games, there is a saying that we say that usually that a game is never finished. It is merely forced to be done, essentially. Theoretically, and I think I speak for a lot of developers, they could be working on a game infinitely until they're blue in the face about it, because there's always something that can be better, or that could be like that could be fixed, or especially because games nowadays are so big and are such huge pieces of complex software, it's almost inevitable that there is something that someone has been working on for like weeks or months of their lives, and they realize, oh, well, I mean, I can probably push it just a little bit further. I can make this even better, or I can make this run even faster. And unfortunately, just at some point, you have to have a deadline. You have to launch the game. Like you can't be developing forever. So then you have to get it out. But obviously, like there's always more stuff that we can do, and particularly with the current infrastructure that we have, where we are able to patch people, like where we can patch on launch, like on the dime, like when it's installed, allows for that kind of thing. And I also hear sometimes people asking me, well, why don't you just, make sure the game is done so you don't have to do a day one patch or day zero patch?
Elliot,
but that's
I need
again
to interrupt you. Could you please move again to the left?
Yeah, sure. Of course. Like further like this, is this better?
Yes. This is much
awesome.
better. Because you're
cool.
literally sliding out of the screen.
I'm just I've got a chair on wheels, so I'm just generally kind of exiting stage right. But yeah, so usually the thing is with like previously, like prior generations, where it's like, okay, we make the game, we release the game, and that is just what you get. There's no such thing as day one patches. There's no such thing as patching in general. If you were lucky, kind of like in the 90s and aughties, you could download a patch off of like Gamefront or something like that. But yeah, like that's something where back in the day, of course, that wasn't really a thing. You had to just make the thing and you had to get it out. But those particular games were at a very, very different scope than what games are nowadays. Like particularly like larger games, like AAA games, like that's hundreds and hundreds of people working on these things for several years in comparison to games from like the 90s and the aughties and sometimes even older, where games were just, from a technical standpoint, were a lot less complicated. So there was just a lot less of a chance that bugs occur, because at the end of the day, programming is done by humans, and that means that flaws or mistakes are going to get through. But I think that's something that, it's just a part of the process of making games, particularly when you're making them at a larger scale or you're doing them at like a larger scope. Like these things slip through, and that's why we have, the heroes of game development, QA, quality assurance, who test so much stuff and work so incredibly hard to make sure that the game is both working and it is fun. They're really kind of the unsung heroes of the scene. And even then, like, especially if your game is being launched to like millions of players all over the world, someone is going to run into a problem or a bug that nobody caught, or something that was caught before, but it's like, in comparison to the massive like crashes or other game breaking stuff that you see, is like, well, we can't fix this now, and we don't have the time or the money to fix it, so we have to unfortunately let it go. You have to triage this thing.
We had, before release of Kingdom Come Deliverance, we had, I think, like around 20 QA testers. And then a week after release, we sold 1 million copies. So, which means that a week after release, we had all of a sudden 1,020,000 QA testers.
Exactly.
Who found 1,020,000 different solutions of how to get to a specific problem. One thing I wanted to mention as well, which is something that is a pain in the ass for, especially like Kingdom Come. There we had that all the time. You fix a bug, and you think you're safe now, but this fixing breaks 5 other things somewhere at a different point in the game. And we have a 100-hour game if you connect all the DLCs to it. It's really hard to fix something and then make sure that it really didn't break anything anywhere else. And you have stuff like RPG elements or animations that you're tweaking somewhere, because you have a specific problem. He cannot go through the door or whatever, the NPC, so you tweak his animation. But with tweaking his animation, you tweak everyone else's animation as well, and then at some other doors, all of a sudden, no one can enter it, and so on and so on. It's really never-ending story.
Very complex software.
Yep.
You guys mentioned that you both are working on something big.
Potentially.
Yeah. It's ginormous.
Do you want us to share a little secret with everybody watching?
I think so. I think the chat will be happy to know something new.
Okay. All right. In that case, I can kick us off. So, next to further creating content for Iron Harvest and supporting it throughout the next year, KingArt is currently also hiring for some new projects that are currently on the horizon. I can't give any details about it yet, but basically we have some really, really cool stuff, like some brand new projects coming into the pipeline. So if you are perchance a game developer who's currently out there and thinking I could do with a cool job, get in touch with us. You can apply. and you could be working with me very, very soon.
And if you think Elliot stinks and Germany as well, then you can also work at Warhol Studios and move to Prague, which is the even nicer city. And Bremen, it's rainy and coastline, and no one wants that, right? You want classical old buildings. You want beer and goulash, and you get that in Prague.
Yeah, Prague is very good. So,
is there like any possibilities that like both of your studios could present something like on the E3 or on the Gamescom next year?
There's always a possibility, but I mean, of course, right? So next year, June, let me think. Probably the board game should be at the stage where I can show something.
Okay.
Exciting.
Okay.
That's very cool. Cool. Yeah, we're still very much in pre-production and concepting with our new projects. So the odds of showing something at E3 or like the coming year is going to be very unlikely. Like we've just gotten started with these projects, but we're really, really excited to see when we get to announce them. Essentially, I think that definitely like people who've like been sticking with our titles for the past, I think they'll be really excited to see what we're getting up to next. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. Like probably in the coming years, once the marketing machine gets started, there's definitely going to be a lot to look forward to. I'm very excited to see the new stuff that we're going to be doing.
Are you allowed to say if your new project will be familiar to your currently project?
I'm looking over to Tobias over here. Like, can we say that?
I'd say let's really wait and see when we have something to present, because as I told you, you cannot never be 100% certain. I just read, was it yesterday or did I read it today? Was it Take Two? I think Take Two were like the big publisher. They pulled a game that apparently cost over $50 million.
They canceled the project.
They canceled the project. You never know, and that's why it's better to not say anything before you actually know.
So definitely don't want to make too many promises about what it is or what it's going to look like. You can perhaps take a look. You can take a look at a few more details if you want to. If you check out our job page, so if you go to kingart-games.com. You can check out the job applications there. Maybe you get like a little inkling of what's going on over at the studio. But obviously, we can't make any promises. Like we're still in the suit. It's really, really early currently in pre-production, so there's really not too much that we can say about it. But yeah, all we can say is that we really hope that you will enjoy what's going to be coming in the next coming years.
Okay. Actually, there's a question. Any remote Q&A jobs?
Any remote Q&A jobs? So definitely due to the pandemic, remote is kind of the de facto way that we've been doing a lot of things. As for QA, I'm not sure if we have any open positions currently, but we do allow for open applications. So if you're interested in joining us as a QA specialist and you want to try and do that remotely, then you can by all means go ahead and apply. We just have an open application form for that. What is it again? Like 100% of the shots you don't take, you miss. So I would definitely encourage you to go ahead and apply, and we'll try and get back to you if we can, probably early next year, because a lot of people are going on vacation very soon. But yeah, so like, hell yeah, absolutely. Sign yourself up, come work with me. It'll be awesome.
Could you tell the people, like, how does end of the year and such big studios are like ending? Do you have like any parties or stuff like that you're doing like in the end of the year?
Yeah, so we originally had a Christmas party planned with like the entire studio, but then of course the Omicron variant appeared, and that has unfortunately meant that we had to cancel our in-person Christmas party. But we did do an additional kind of like an online conference, so to speak. So we had a couple developers who wanted to share some particular knowledge or skills with each other, and they would do like little micro talks. Essentially, so we had some really interesting. It was really, really interesting to hear from other developers on the team to get their perspective on how they view their things on the job and what is important to them. Particularly because making games, particularly at this size, is a huge team effort. You need to be able to work together with other people, and it's super important to be able to understand where another person is coming from. So, for example, we had a talk by our business development person, Julian. Toby knows them, which was really enlightening to understand like where they come from. They're kind of our liaison to Koch Media. So he's kind of like the first person that speaks to the publisher and then relays that information to us. And it was really interesting to hear like the process about like there's more to making games than just the people who are making games. Like money has to come from somewhere, and usually that comes from publishers or other investors. And of course that means that, you know, they're providing the money. That means they have some kind of interest or desire with the product as well, with the game. So being able to figure out balancing essentially games as a product, as a business, with games as an art form, as a medium, is, I think, really, really interesting. And it's kind of important to be able to do that in order to, number one, make a great game that everyone loves, and be able to make a game that everyone loves and also will allow you to keep the lights on, be able to make sure that we can all pay our rent. Yeah, like, so that was really interesting. So I'm looking forward to be able to do that again next year, and hopefully we can do that all in person.
Yeah, we didn't had any party like that, or not even a digital one. Actually, we did some Secret Santa thingy, so that's the only thing we did. Half of the studio is still kind of going to the studio, but usually we are advised to please stay at home if possible.
Same here.
If possible. I'm almost for 2 years already on home office.
Hey, work from home buddies.
Yeah.
Same here,
I took a almost clean shirt today, so that it's something.
Is it from the last Gamescom you took now?
No, but I was this afternoon actually. We were on a communications like Christmas dinner, so it was like our CEO, PR, marketing, sales, and so on. So it's like a very small group, just like 8 people. And I had a very good cabbage soup with paprika, and now my white shirt is red spotted. So
well,
I'm apparently still not, with my 32 years of age, I'm still not able to eat soup properly. Yep.
That's okay. Happens to the best of us. How about you,
But
Alex?
before the COVID, had you have like any big Christmas party in your office?
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
It sounds like you had a bad headache after a party like that.
How is the saying? Like a gentleman keeps quiet and enjoy. Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
It was wild and good and really. So it's always connected to. It started like always the same. We got like at Warhorse at least we got like a real tree, like a legit one that smells good, and we had the Secret Santa thing. So we have right now 200 people in the office, and at least 70 to 100 or so are participating in the Secret Santa. So you have a 70 to 100 presents under the tree, which looks amazing.
Wow.
Of course.
That's I think a big amount.
Yeah, that looks really cool. Then we had like eggnog and Christmas cookies and these kind of stuff in the office. With Christmas carols and these kind of thing, of course, like all nice and cozy and so on. And then we had a place booked where we went, and the bar for just the Warhorse team, and that was really good. Open tap, open wine, open liquor, Slivovitz in all shapes or forms. Usually like some kind of catering as well, so it was good. It was really good.
That's really nice. Yeah, that's wonderful. So on the King Art Endeavor said, we have kind of something similar. So we have like a day that we have with all the employees at the office, and we do like a wide variety of activities kind of to like catch up with each other and just have a good time. And it's also kind of the Christmas party is also a time where we acknowledge and we honor the people who have just started in the company on that year, as well as people that have been working for a very long time for us. And it's like a special moment for them. Like we have people in the office, in the studio, who've been working for us for like up to 15, sometimes even 20 years, which is a very, very long time in the games industry. So it's really, really nice that, you know, those people get to be put in the spotlight for a little bit. And like, obviously there's things like catering or like a dinner we head out to like a nice restaurant or anything like that. So it's generally just a great place to catch up with people you usually don't see like on a day-to-day basis while you're working. But yeah, like it's just a nice way to basically close out the year. Before we wrap up for the end of that particular year. It's good.
Okay. Actually, there's a question. What's the
Sure.
hardest thing for each of you when it comes to working from and managing a team at home?
Ooh, okay. Toby, do you want to kick us off?
Thinking about it, so the hardest thing. So I can tell you what my personal biggest problem is. So it's not like my work is not getting harder per se, but as I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of a hybrid person, and I'm a very extroverted, outspoken, direct person. I'm very loud.
Yeah.
I'm very touchy in the sense of not that I'm grabbing people, but that I'm like this personal contact is very important for me. And one big part of my work is that I'm traveling internationally to different events on conventions and so on, meet the media directly, meet the players directly, be at the booth and so on, and just be in touch with the people. And that is not happening since 2 years right now. And every year I had at least like 6 events a year, maybe 2 in America, 1 in Germany, 1 in Russia, 1 in Poland, 1 in France. This is 6 already. So UK maybe, and then Brazil or whatever.
So you're missing like big events where you can like meet people, speak with people.
It's more like in the beginning of the home office and pandemic and COVID thing, I really had a strong feeling that I aged way faster than I did before. like they clipped my wings, and now I'm sitting here and start to get older really quick. Like I'm not going anywhere. I'm not talking to anyone. That was like in the gaming world, I mean, and to media and so on. And that was harder for sure. But other than that, I don't. Well, usually what is very important for me is also as well talking to the developers and so on directly, and this makes the COVID situation made a lot of things way harder. So I couldn't travel to Bremen as often as I would like to the King Art guys, for instance. I was there just once, and then the COVID thing happened, right?
Yeah.
We had a very big, very nice preview event in Berlin where we were together with Elliot, having a really, really nice show with a lot of media. We were presenting back in the days. It was Wasteland 3 together with Iron Harvest. It was really nice, and it went. Also, the results were great.
It was great.
Just when I came back from Prague, I moved back. It was in March 2000.
February 2020, I think.
Or February 20.
Yeah, 2020, I think.
Yeah.
Time is a bit weird now.
Yeah, exactly. So. It was February, March, and I traveled back on a Saturday, and on Monday, the Czech Republic closed its borders to Germany. And from that point, I pretty much stopped traveling to wherever. And that was sad, yeah. But other than that, I must say that Warhorse Studios managed the home office extremely well. I have I don't need a strong PC for like gaming stuff. Like I'm not working with the engine or whatever, so I really just need a workstation, and if possible a PC that can run a game. But other than that, I'm really fine. And Skype, Teams, telephone works fine for me. So yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely agree on that. So for my job directly, working from home hasn't influenced it too much. I think the only thing that I really miss is occasionally being able to just talk to colleagues, like we meet each other like in the hallways, or I could just walk over to someone and say, hey, I need to bounce an idea off of you. Can you hear me out and give me some feedback? So I definitely do miss that. Otherwise, yeah, King Art has also really has handled working from home really, really well, I think. So generally, like, that hasn't really been a huge detriment to me, at least for like my day-to-day for just working. But I'm definitely going to agree with you, Tobias. So I am not personally like a communications person, but I do really enjoy interacting with fans, with people who are interested in the game, and like, just talking to them about the things that they get passionate about things that they get excited about. Like, I think that's really, really fantastic. I think it's always wonderful. It's definitely one of the reasons that I make games, at least. and also being able to hang out with other developers, like friends of mine and so on. So yeah, not being able to travel and go to conventions or conferences or gathering, that's definitely one of the things that I really dearly miss. But hopefully, Toby, we will one day, like for the future projects, who knows, we might be able to do it again in person. That could be something that we can definitely look forward to. And yeah, like I think the last time that we were, for example, at Gamescom, we were promoting Iron Harvest, and I got to meet a whole bunch of fans.
That was amazing.
That was incredible. I would really love to do that again for whatever comes next.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. I mean, like, you seems like have big parties at your studios.
Yeah, like we do what we can.
Exactly.
Well, I think it actually time's up to round it. We've been
all right
speaking with
just poured in my second beer.
Well, you will have a nice evening then.
All right. Are there any final questions that people want to ask?
Actually, we've been answering all questions that have
Wonderful.
been like on the list and in the chat.
Okay, cool.
So you can actually just say some nice things
for
people in the end of the year. Yeah.
Alex, I have a question.
Yeah.
How about you tell us about the current state, about saturated outer space, about the information you can share, about a plan, action, like an action plan, maybe a release schedule, something, or just and if you don't have these things or don't want to talk about these things, then maybe the projects or the difficulties you are currently having with your version. So what are you working on? What are you replanning? What is the feedback so far, and so on? So tell us about saturated outer space.
Well, the thing that we are working on right now is, as I told everyone, is the build, the new version of the build, because the thing you played, it was like 4 demo levels that we're patching into the one full level right now.
Okay.
And
wow.
The struggle we have, maybe we're a little bit out of hands on the dev side, because it's hard to find devs, especially free devs. Come on, we're doing game only on a smile and a good heart, and we're thinking that we will release something really good and people will be happy. And because there's not so much like I can say big things are coming from Russia, especially when it's gaming stuff. Because we have like Ukraine, it's a stalker, and right now the biggest thing I think Russia will be releasing is the Atomic Heart. It's like
they just released here King's Bounty 2, right? That was the last bigger title from Russia, as far as I know.
Yes,
but
like
Alex, then okay. Tell me, Alex, about the if you have to pitch your game to someone who never heard about it before, how would you sell the main pillars of the game? And don't get too crazy. Just really try to condense it into the most like
give us the elevator pitch.
Yeah, the elevator pitch. Yeah, but the elevator pitch, I don't like the word elevator pitch because it's usually too short to actually really like. Yeah, so.
I understand.
Try your best, Alex.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think.
And no cheating. I see you're reading something.
Actually, not. I was asking the thing that you sent me. I would pitch our game that we're not currently working for the money, as the most studios are doing for income, but with our experience of like different age and different perspective on the game.
Wrong. You cannot start like that. You need. Then I say, okay, why should I play it? That's not how you elevate pitch. You need to in your face like we are developing the next big turn-based strategy game. It has this. It will be. It's called Saturated Outer Space. It's this kind of scenario. It's cool because it had this main feature in this, and this is the other pillar of the game. And if you like those, you might be interested in this as well, and so on.
Okay.
So don't
want like an open up. Okay, fine.
Don't play the pity card. The pity card. No one likes the pity card. You need to like punch in the face.
We're going against XCOM as a better game, and we're been looking a lot on the games like Gears Wars, XCOM, and we're looking what we could like inspire of, and we have different things that will be from games like XCOM, Phoenix Point, Gears War Tactics, and stuff like that. First of all, that we're not focusing only on action. We are focusing a lot of how you could save refugees on a mission. So you will have a different options how to complete the level. So it's not necessary that you will go through like a Rambo. You could go through as a Isaac Clarke from and think your way what you could shoot in the spaceship and stuff like that your enemies will be
so choices, meaningful choices. You don't have to be the aggressive type, but can play in different ways.
Yes, exactly.
XCOM 2, you have the aim is always, the goal is always the same: kill the other people, or aliens. But so you have choices. That is an outstanding key selling point. You need to highlight that.
Yeah, we're doing it always. Trust me, we're focusing on that we will have different options how you can complete the level. So you have a different time options as well. You can go full Rambo and complete the level maybe like in 20 minutes. But if you think through how you can complete the level, you can probably find some Easter eggs. Elliot knows what I'm talking about. And you will have options how you can complete the level. You have different tools with different waves. If you see some doors closed or some maybe big pile of scrap, you can use your tools because we have engineers, we have robots, we have different people with ability, and not like super ability. Some maybe it might be some telekinesis there or something like that, and it will somehow still affect how you complete the level. The more refugees you can save in a level, the more goods you will get. So our players will have option on you want a hard way but with a better reward, or you want a fast way with less reward.
So I think I'm hearing that you have a solid basis and that you're working on a interesting game, but what you have to work on is to sell that baby.
Well, as I told you, when we have a new build, finally, I think it will be in the March or something like that. We could speak more about what will be added and what we have, because in the new build, there will be a new stuff even to our characters. It's you will have 3 characters that are allowed to be played. It might be more of a team, 3, 4. Plus, there's some options on our characters. They're it's not basically human. We have our main guy, and we have a half meta-human guys. Plus, we have a special robot that will be in the game that will be functional a very interesting way. So we are focusing a lot of story first of all, because we have a whole team working on the storyline, because we know that games like XCOM they are loved not only for the action they're doing, but with the story itself, because you have something where you start and where you end, and we're working as well on it, but a little bit bigger, because there's I think we have a Google document or something on 60 page or something like that, and it was only a concept description of how our game will work.
Oh wow! Sounds very ambitious. So basically, kind of like XCOM, where you get a bigger, more ambitious narrative, and your choices in how you tackle certain situations within the game basically can have like a knock-on effect essentially through your playthrough. Is that kind of how I should understand it?
Alex,
Yes.
write down what he's saying. So
I'm doing it.
okay, good.
But cool, yeah. Best of luck then. I'm looking forward to the new builds in the new year then.
Yeah, the new year it will be actually a lot of things that we're working on, and I think that first solid things we'll be able to show in March, and
Cool.
like more stable, maybe something even new, because we haven't been speaking like what will happen like maybe in the next summer. So yeah, well, there's different things that will happen to our game. Yeah, well, now our game will be set like in a future, but not like far away future.
Okay.
It will be about space.
All right.
And that you have a rescue team of different people. You could say it's a little bit mix of like XCOM and Mass Effect regarding the characters you have, because
Right.
we will be having characters from different planets.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it's not only human that will be in the game.
Got it.
So you will be able to interact with those characters on your ship. If you have been playing like StarCraft 2, you know how you can interact with the characters you have there. Like you press it and you can
Right.
speak with them.
Yeah.
So we will have something similar with that thing.
Oh, okay. So it's
Cool.
kind of like so you've got like gameplay like XCOM, and then like visually or like setting wise it's very close to Mass Effect, and then you've got like a couple extra like conversational features kind of like in StarCraft 2 or something like that.
Yes, something, because we're not focusing only on turn-based strategy plan, how you make games. Like you have XCOM, you have like a 2D screen where you can like build base, you can like interact with this army, you can interact with your intelligence room. We are going maybe a little bit further with that and open up a little bit regarding that you will have like somehow more interaction regarding when you are in your like command room.
Okay. So kind of like further interacting with like your teammates, your squad.
Yes. Because we have like a bar there when you can like go and you like can order maybe some drink or stuff like that. Because it's right now I think we have like 4 or 5 rooms that we're working on. And there probably will be more, because we have like a ship that you'll be using. It's not basically like a base. It's more like a ship, a flying base. You can maybe call it like that.
Gotcha.
And well, there's still things that we work on and we write regarding like text and our characters, or who you will meet, or what Easter eggs will be there. So like maybe, who knows, maybe someone found a gun from Iron Harvester. Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
That's cool.
Well, now it's not that we're like rescuing people. It's more like if you know, like if you've been playing like Cyberpunk, you have like a trauma team there, and they're like going to save a human who's like have a diamond car or something like that. It's like future medical care, but advanced more with waves how you save people. I mean, like they're like not full advanced like army guys.
Got it.
They're like there will be guns that you will have found in the chest or on the ground or from the enemies that you will like, okay, hold on, I'm holding a gun. How do I use it?
Right.
So it's there's a possible options that you will have, how you will choose your inventory. Of course, like you can settle up like a med kit, adrenaline.
Right.
I don't know, like
change your loadout.
Yeah. We're working actually on pretty big how you can create your loadout, because you will able to swap things with your characters. If you see that one of the guys have like 2 medkits and the other one have 0, so you can like come to him, take medkit and give it to his inventory. So like, okay, I'm safe. I can actually try to go with that unit to another point because I have a med kit and try to like maybe attack it or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, that's pretty clear. All right.
So there
Cool.
is actually a lot of things that need to be done, but because we're working all free, how sad it doesn't sounds. So
Yeah, I understand.
maybe Koch Media can buy us. We
I
will
mean,
be
yeah.
only
Well,
glad.
You have 1C in Russia. That is closer. Or Buka Entertainment.
No, they don't like us.
Oh.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, yeah, like that's definitely a big part of, as a developer is pitching to publishers and figuring out who is the best match to work with to
Plus, they
make.
don't work so much with turn-based strategy games. That's the thing.
Got it. That's a very important thing is like what kind of portfolio does the publisher have? Like what kind of like games do they sell or what kind of games do they publish for? And yeah, finding a right fit is like it's a lot of work, but it can definitely absolutely be worth it. Like we found that as well that Koch Media, like Deep Silver at the time, was the publisher that basically was most aligned with what we wanted to try and do and what we wanted to have. So that's definitely something that we found that was a really good partnership. And yeah, so that's really, really cool. And yeah, like it's a lot of work to find a publisher that fits with your views of what you want to do and how you want to get your game done. So yeah, like a lot of work, but it can absolutely be worth it, especially if they can help out a lot of other things that aren't strictly development. Yeah, it can really make a difference.
Let us speak with the investment part on the Koch Media, please. Can we at least show our game next year?
I mean, I don't control that, unfortunately. So.
Neither do I. So.
But where do we send the application at least to look at us?
I don't know. Info at Koch Media. I have really no idea.
Yeah. So usually what you would do is like obviously you can like send stuff to publishers and you can like try and organize a meetup. Usually that's done at conferences and stuff, but obviously with COVID and everything, that's not really much of an option. So yeah, like digitally like connecting or basically making connections with people at the publisher and then seeing if you can get your game across to them.
Alex, if there's one thing I can suggest, find a publisher that is close, because actually seeing each other and being able to travel to each other's place and talk in person is such a big difference.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe. So Prague and Munich are, I don't know, kind of 400 kilometers or whatever away from each other. With emails, you so often have miscommunication. Maybe one person says something, the other person doesn't understand it correctly, maybe gets offended or whatever. The emotion is not being delivered. We came with Warhorse and Koch. We sometimes got into like a dead end of misunderstanding or whatever, and everything was solved just the moment we traveled there, or they came to us. We met each other, we went for a dinner, for a beer, explained it again, like person in person, and then everything was all of a sudden like, oh, okay, now that makes sense.
Yeah.
So having someone close is really, really, really important. I'm just saying that if you're looking for it published in the US or in Germany or wherever, maybe
like
it's cleverer to look in front of you in your own home turf first.
Sure. Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, like we're all in this as people, right? Like we're not working like publisher to studio. Like at the end of the day, those are people that you are working with, and people just do better with being face to face and being able to see what we're trying to convey and how that's going. That's probably maybe one of the bigger challenges of the pandemic is that you can't do that in person. Like video conferencing like this is close enough sometimes, but it hits different when you're actually in the same room with a person. I definitely agree with Tobias here. Like it can really make a big difference if you can actually like have some face-to-face with a person. You just can't convey everything through email or text all the time. That's very true.
Absolutely.
Or at least it's trickier.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like, we really want to show more of our game, but there's just like, it's not enough hands on the dev team.
I get you.
So yeah, when we have something new, it will be playable, it will be able to show the game, and of course you both will try it out, and we are gladly to hear your opinion about the game, what you think is good, what you think is bad, what you think we need like to work on, because like it's still hard to create a full level that will be able to play for like I don't know, maybe like 50 minutes.
Yeah, making games is hard.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
lot
like,
of work.
That's like
If it would be easy, then
if it would be easy, there would be more people doing it, right?
So
yeah.
Coolio.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
Any other further questions from chat that we can still answer this time, or?
Nah, not really. Actually, we've been answering everything, and thanks for her studio for checking out on us. That's maybe a sign that we should still send to the investment team email.
Well, never know. But yeah, cool.
Sure.
Anything else you want to share with us, Alex, or
as fast as I have something new to share, I will do it. I mean, like, there's a couple of things that are going on to assemble, like trailers, gameplay, and stuff like that. But it will be all shown in the next year.
Okay.
Because like it's like 2 weeks until the end of this year, so.
All right. Cool.
Nothing new.
Cool.
So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, activity with you guys is the thing I would like to show to people, and yeah, well, happy that you both attended here.
It's our pleasure, Alex. Thank you.
It was our pleasure. I can just again suggest you to once COVID, and I mean you picked the wrong time to pitch game like in person to other people. I feel your pain, yeah. But once that is over, I can just suggest really the Igromirs, the game, if possible for you. I know like with Russia it's a bit more complicated, but the Gamescoms, the indie game arenas, all the indie shows, the Escapist show where you can show indie games and so on. I can really try to find a YouTuber or someone who's interested in trying your game and maybe play a little role or convince him with him or her with maybe a voice actor role or whatever, get them involved. And so you need, at the end of the day, you can have the greatest game on earth, but if no one knows about it, then you're fucked. So, you need to, at some point, you need to ramp up the communications and make sure that that everyone knows about it and that you get your game out there among the people. I think it's way easier to have a not so good game, but good communications, other than like having a really good game but bad communications. Because with communications you can at least get the game out there and then get the
people
feedback back, and people that at least they heard about you, right? But if no one knows about you, no one will talk about you, and you, as I said, it's way harder the other way around, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, we are working on that, how to like promote our game, and by these small live shows and speaking with you about like what's happening in the game world, and yeah, well, what's happening with our game, what's going on with your games, your new project. People are still getting to know somehow about like who is that saturated outer space. Because it's a first project of us, but we're putting a lot of effort on this game. We just hope that we will create something that people will like, even if it's maybe not will be a lot of money income from the game. So like, if people like it and there's like a need for continue, I think that's the most thing for the studio who will be releasing the first game. It's at least my opinion. I don't know what you think, Tobias.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, you need to find your own way. That is key. So you do what you think is best first, and then you have to, but at some point you need to go the conservative or the already walked through paths. So there's some point where you need to start your communication. There's some point where you need to start to market your game somehow. But of course, without a good project, you can do what you want and nothing will happen. But yeah, I mean,
There's no one true golden path
exactly,
to success.
exactly. I would recommend to what you're trying to do right now is get us involved and get the word out there. That makes a lot of sense, of course. Sneaky move, but a good move. That is, but that's why we support you. I mean, we're not blind, of course, but that's the way how you get the word out and so on. So that's clever, but you need to deliver a good game as well. So I would recommend to find a good streamer, or YouTuber or something at some point, not too early, not too late, and get them involved somehow. You need someone who plays the game and presents the game properly. So, and you won't do the elevator pitches to anyone because that was, or you at least try to learn it better for the next time.
Well, we don't have so much conference. I have nowhere to pitch the games.
You never know. Hey, you stand in line at your favorite grocery store, and all of a sudden, Mr. Koch Media is standing in front of you. And then he asks, "Oh, you do video games? What kind of video games?" And then
tell me.
You need to have a punchline.
Be ready, right? So yeah.
You need to be ready. You never know.
True.
I tried to email PewDiePie, but
oh yeah, of course. What did he say?
I didn't get reply.
Oh.
I even wrote that in Swedish.
Dear.
But I know the price tag on this unicorn on YouTube, and I was like, okay, even if we sell our studios, it will not be enough of money.
That's fair enough. Understandable. Yeah.
But yeah, everything that you told us, it's actually in progress. I mean, like the streamers, YouTubers, and stuff like that. It's small amount.
At a later point, of course. At a later point.
Of course.
The time is right.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Very excited. Well, we'll definitely keep our fingers crossed for you.
Sure. We will do. Already.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Then I think, we speak about everything. So if you have something like to wish to viewers about the Christmas or New Year, you're right up to do it.
Yeah, Toby, do you want to close this out?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I wish everyone luck, prosperity, health, and wealth. Of course, get the COVID thing done. Even if you're a non-believer, so if you're a non-believer, then hide at home or whatever. If you're a believer, then make sure that you don't and risk anyone you love. Take care, and of course, let's get back to normal as soon as possible, or to a new normal, because I'm sure that the world will change after that odyssey we went through. But for the next year, I hope we will normalize. I hope we can socialize again. I hope we will get great games again. But because one maybe doesn't realize, but if you take a look back, there haven't been that many great games being released during the COVID times, simply because the studios had to.
It's been tough.
Yeah, it was very tough for everyone, and it was very hard. So Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, get well, get healthy, wealthy, get vaxxed if you're at least decent. A decent person, and then
there's a lot to look forward to hopefully next year.
Yeah, and let's meet each other next year, hopefully at some place in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks everybody for coming on board, asking your questions, checking in to see how everyone's doing. We really do appreciate it. It goes a long way. Can't add much more than what Tobias says. Get vaxxed, and hopefully we'll be out of this mess in due course. We can only keep our fingers crossed, hope for the best, but we've got a lot of great games coming our way in the next year, and hopefully even better news from both Warhorse and from King Art in the future as well. So
we will make sure that the Prime Meta label is proud. So we will King Art Games and Warhorse Studios will definitely not let you down when it comes to amazing games. I know what King Art Games is cooking, and I know what Warhorse Studios is cooking, and believe me, guys, it will be kick-ass. So it will be even better than the games we released so far. So
it's what we
that's a brave word there.
Oh, I'm so sure about that.
We do what we can. We strive for that.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting both of you on Igramir when it's loud.
I wanted to go there, but Igramir was cancelled last second, so fingers crossed for next year.
Bummer. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Good. Then,
cool.
I can't add more what you both said. So I wish all a good Christmas and Happy New Year. So stay safe and yeah, well, just take care of yourself. Don't be sick with this.
All right. Take care,
Coolio.
everybody. Stay safe.
Take
Good.
care.
Have a
Take
good year.
care.
Ciao.
Bye, guys.